One of the biggest challenges here was floods. So being a floodplain, it floods fairly regularly, and small floods are quite not a real problem because it's well-drained soil. But if you're going to get a flood and the cane's under 4 or 5 metres of water for 3 days, it's not so good, and you can lose a lot of your crop.
We don't have the drainage issues that probably a lot of cane farmers have, but we have the issue of water running through the paddock. So we've done a lot of work here on erosion control because we are in such sloping country. We've done a lot of work with contour banks and contouring and the flow of water through the farm.
It's very challenging to just sort of stand there and not cry and see the paddocks go underwater and go, well, there goes the money for this year, because that's really going to affect those crops down there. So if we make the direct drill happen up here, by not having those paddocks down there bare when it goes underwater, that's going to benefit me, because the nutrients and everything that's in the soil is going to stay in the soil. So if I can direct drill into low paddocks and keep a coverage on them in a wet season for a fallow, that will certainly benefit that too. And you know, the offshoot benefit that is probably better water quality.
I've only been a project catalyst grower for 3 years. Prior to that, I was working for Terrain NRM in the support role for the catalyst growers. I'd seen the outcomes and the support that catalyst growers got. So I was really keen to be part of that and continue to be part of Catalyst and learn from the other growers. In approximately 2006, I went on a field tour to Mackay and out to Emerald to look at controlled traffic and minimum till farming operations. And I saw in Mackay growers were already doing dual row disc opener planting on 1.8 and 1.9 metre rows. And one thing that really struck home with me was from 5'2" to 1.9 metre rows saved his harvester the distance of driving from Sarina to Brisbane every year in kilometres travelled on his track harvester. I don't drive a harvester, but I was thinking of me sitting on a tractor. So came back and thought about it with a friend. We applied for a grant to buy a planter. We manufactured a mounder, and we hired somebody with a GPS to put in our first controlled traffic rows on 1.9 metres, planted them with that dual row disc opener stick planter that we purchased second hand once again from Mackay. And since then I've been a 1.9 metres dual row double disc opener planter. I've gradually moved across to less and less tillage in that system. So we still have the same controlled traffic beds, but we don't cultivate the whole block anymore. We just cultivate the beds. Better for my soil health and retaining nutrients and nitrogen from a cover crop.
How we grow the cane's changed quite a bit. We've done a lot of work trying to work only where the stool is, where the cane stool is. We don't work the centre space now unless we have to change the rows of a paddock. So basically we use a bed renovator, we use a ripper that was designed through Project Catalyst, and we use a wavy disc. We've tried different fertiliser. We used to use white urea. Now we use carbon-coated urea, what we call black urea, and that product is slow release. So we've actually cut down our fertiliser usage. We've done a lot more fallowing on the farm, and we've done a lot of work with a company called Green Collar. We actually were one of the early adopters of reef credits, and we've sold some recently, and basically we've changed practices, and in return they pay us for those changes.
So this is the first ratoon crop that's come away after we had a mixed species fallow trial in this paddock. So we'd come up with, specifically for Damien's farm, we came up with a mix that was avoiding any grass species, because grasses, having previous history of cattle grazing on the property, grasses tend to be an issue, so we didn't want to be introducing that and then reducing our opportunity to control those problem weeds in the fallow. This was the first replicate of one of the mixes that Damien and I had come up with, and then we came to a section of a bare fallow and so on across the paddock. So we did biomasses and everything, which was actually in the Fawn magazine last year. And then we took it through the harvest of the plant crop just to have a look at what that actually means for the cane crop behind that and where that comes to. There are a couple of things that happened that were a little bit interesting. The beans sort of spread pretty far out of the zone that they were planted into, so we visually had quite the difference. Sort of could see where they'd grown in the bare fallow and where it had gone to when you were looking at it before it was harvested, and they came out a bit in the results where we saw the sections that had a little bit more bean coming into them in the bare did get a bit of a result there.
Why were you interested in actually trialling the multi-species in this particular part of your paddock?
I guess it's more the multi-species I was looking at trialling because I was interested in the soil health and making sure that the soil health was, I can improve that soil health and also to reduce some of my inputs going into the block with the fertilisers and those sort of things, the artificial ones that we put on, by utilising that bean species to try and help get the extra nutrients into the soil. In the block over there you can see that we've got the bits that I've already started to work up, so that's going to be bare fallow, so that'll be bare ground. And the conventional drill, it just scatters the seed onto the top of the surface and then covers it up. With the direct drill, that works with 2 coulter tines, and that runs down and it'll run down the old cane row and plant a row of seed on either side in a straight line down, hopefully straight lines, down either side of that row of cane.
In the last few years I've been interested in achieving better soil health, so increasing the organic carbon levels. The anecdotal evidence is that my organic carbon has come up by about 0.3, 0.4, which isn't huge, but it hasn't cost me any money either. The other thing I've noticed is the controlled traffic and reduced tillage seems to be improving my pH. It was typically around the 5.5, it's now around 6. Renaudo's did several trials on this and we came out with a very mixed result. It wasn't a good enough result to say we'd go ahead with it. They did variable rate nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. And from my experience with looking at soil tests, and I've looked at a few thousand in my life, the Herbert River District has extremely variable phosphorus levels within blocks of cane. So, at the moment we're putting on a blanket rate, which is a drunken man's walk soil sampling method across the block, and you get a mix of all those different phosphorus levels and you put an average on. So some areas are getting too much, some are not getting enough. My trial is looking at putting the phosphorus on where it's needed and not where it's not needed within a block. So we EC map the block first to get electrical conductivity zones. Then within those zones we take multiple, or in the trial we're taking many soil samples, and we've come up with a variable rate map to apply that phosphorus within that block. So we'll be putting the same nitrogen and potassium across the block, and then we'll have a control which has the standard recommendation by a normal one single soil sample, which is 15 kilos of P across the block. And then we'll be putting variable rate applications from 0 to 20 kilos of P across the block.
We've looked at the variety of cane that is basically our predominant variety, Q200. And so we've done that, and that's why we've chosen that particular block. And the block is probably an average block, so it's average sort of soil type that we would have on the farm, and also it's average sort of steepness or hilliness that is. So we're trying to get something that is going to give us a fairly good knowledge about the results that we're going to get. We've tried to improve tonnage over the years, and it seems to be more difficult for us to achieve than what CCS. We have had a lot of success improving CCS, because when I first came on the farm 20 years ago, we were running about 2 to 2.5 units of CCS below the mill. We're now running a unit to a unit and a half over the mill, and for us that's a huge turnaround. That's a considerable amount of money. This is something we're very interested in because we've used mill mud in the past and it's negatively impacted on the sugar, so we're basically trying to hopefully go with ash and see if that still gets good results.
the focus was really on about making sure that we got plants that we thought would be beneficial for Damien's specific situation, rather than seed size and things, because we're pretty confident that with the equipment that Damien's got, we were going to be able to handle most of the seed sizes there. There was 2 different cowpeas, a Dolichos or Lab, and a sunflower.
Yep. And the other one was a soybean.
And a soybean in there, yeah. What we were trying to target was to make sure that we had some species in there that were pretty tolerant of moisture, some species that were pretty tolerant of the dry. So that way we're hedging our bets for the fallow that, while today is a perfect example of what the weather does in the wet tropics, it could be wet, it might stay dry for a long time, so you hedge your bets to see what you're going to get. We got beautiful red soil up here for Damien. It's nice and friable. We're hoping to maintain that loose friable soil as long as possible. We didn't do it as part of this trial, but as part of the next trial, which is the sort of continuation on from this and the evolution, I suppose, is we're planning on using the SRA Soil Health Test Kit, and which will mean that we'll go through and perform a series of different tests to give us a baseline once the beans are planted and established, and then after they've been taken off the paddock, and then even say after first return harvest, so that way we can have a look and just say there's been a difference, or has there been a difference between what we've done and what would have been done, and then also to see, all right, after first harvest, has that benefit still going on? Is there still that benefit in the soil?
Before I went out and actually bought something, to know whether it was going to work or not, I went, I need to make something that I can, have a go at, have a trial at, and see if that actually is going to work in the paddock, rather than going and spending big lots of money on something that may not, or may give me an increase.
Well, they say the mother of all invention is necessity.
Necessity, that's right, it certainly is.
Where on earth did you come up with even a design?
So just looking at many different machines that have been made over the area, over the region. Luckily for me, when I bought the farm here, the box on the top, that's a cedar box, HBM cedar box. The bottom piece was an old fertiliser box that I had floating around. The box was all rusted out on, so I went, well, that's a frame, nice frame, good frame for me. And the rest of it, just the coulters and the tines, bits and pieces that I've picked up over the time to put it all together and make it work.
One of the plants that I grow in my cover crop mix is sunflowers, and sunflowers plants that support mycorrhizal fungi. Mycorrhizal fungi fixers of phosphorus, so they take unplant available phosphorus and through acids and their process they turn it into a plant available phosphorus. Canelands are known to be fungi deficient in the soils because sugarcane generally supports bacteria, and we don't have enough fungi in our soil to do the things like convert phosphorus over and also zinc. I don't believe we'll ever get away from using some sort of fertilisers because we're taking nutrients from the soil. We'll need to replace some of those, and we need other plants to support soil life to make that available.
I want to look at a few especially soil health. It's an area that I'm interested in because I feel that I can reduce my nitrogen down further if I can get the right trace elements and minerals in the soil, and I think that's certainly an area that we could make improvements on. And again, that actually gets me more reef credits. So the idea behind all that is make the farm more viable, more profitable, and do it with less nitrogen and improving the environment at the same time.
Anywhere where we can show what a practice, good or bad, how it works, where it's worked, and give other people the confidence to have a go at something on their property. That's one of the things. The other side of things is really looking into that for the fallow that we're planting and the crops we're planting. If we can get away with doing the direct drill rather than saving cultivating soils, beautiful friable soils like this over the wet season, having them undisturbed, and just really looking at the benefit we're getting out of the crops from that compared to what we would get if we've cultivated it up.